join me in rising for the pledge? There's a flag in the right corner. Back right. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll do roll call. Carol Alexander. Here. Jennifer Davis.
Present.
Dolores Boswell.
Here.
Sylvia Bruni. Here. Lizette Cuellar.
Here.
Sylvia De Leon Solis. Diana Espinosa.
Here.
Esther Quiroga.
Present.
Maribel Garcia.
Here.
Olga Gentry.
Here.
Elia Guevara. Alice Herrera. Sylvia Palumbo.
Here.
Sandra Rocha Taylor. Here. Guadalupe L. Ramirez.
Here.
Diana Rodriguez.
Here.
Rosina Silva.
Here.
Francis Wordsman. Okay. Okay, thank you everybody for being here.
Did we get some people, the ones that are missing, besides Elia, that said she had a doctor's appointment?
Francis, if you keep her in your prayer, she was having an issue with one of her calves, so she was having an MRI today. So please pray for her that everything is fine.
And Miss
Alice
Silva,
did say she was coming.
Alice?
Miss Silva had a prior commitment, graduation.
Sylvia, okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Remember, we're three Sylvias now?
Oh, wow.
Let's do Diana, so three Sylvias and.
Although we are aware that if they're absent, they're absent. There's no excuse, so. Okay, and then I'd like to welcome Mercurio Martinez III.
Alice,
to join us.
Alice not coming, right?
Yes, ma'am. And also, I wanted to welcome, we have 2 new members. And I would like for you all to introduce yourselves and say a little bit about who you are and what you bring to our committee. We're happy to have you. So we have Lupita Ramirez, Guadalupe L. Ramirez.
Yeah, well, my name is Guadalupe Ramirez, and this is my first time in this committee. I do property management.
Thank you. Welcome. Short and sweet. Sylvia Bruni.
Sylvia Bruni. I was telling, I think I mentioned to Sandra, it's really kind of sweet, funny. I was on the original commission in 1994. And 25 years later, I come back.
Wow,
I'm a long time educator.
Welcome back.
Spent most of my career as an educator. Senior English teacher. I tell friends that's the thing I'm most proud of. I was the very first senior English teacher for United ISD.
Wow.
No one will ever be able to take that one away from me. And one of my kids is sitting right next to me. Spent about 40 years, and don't do the math. About 40 years in public education, retired as a superintendent. Then I spent about 12, 13 years in nonprofit work. So, I love my work, and I'm really looking forward to see how this group has grown, because it's been around for 25 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Doing good things, I hope, for women. So,
Thank you for leading us, and welcome, both of you. I did skip over public comments, so I'll go back to that. And again, public comments give the general community an opportunity to come and voice their opinions. This is a public meeting, so they can come in, make any comments at any time. But we don't have anyone at this time, unless Mr. Martinez. Okay, so then we'll continue and move on.
No, I'm just happy to be here. We had a meeting with all of my committee appointees, and mine are sitting over here. And so when we were discussing different items from the different committees, I got invited by both of them. You should come to one of our meetings. So this is the first one that I come to.
Thank you.
And I have been going to different committees. There's like 25 committees. And so I'm trying to make at least one each, all of them, throughout the year, at least one time throughout the year. So, that being said, this is the large group. This is the one where all of us appoint two. I don't know what it is, because when you get strong women together, that's why I want to sit over here. But I think it's a wonderful group. I mean, all of you all have a lot of nice resumes behind you, so I'm real proud of that. And thank you Sandra, for leading the charge here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, approval of the March 4th and April 8th minutes. I believe the April 8th minutes we do not have. Unfortunately, Ms. Jaworski, due to her illness, could not complete them, but we should have them at our next meeting. So if you'll please review the March 4th minutes in front of you and let us know if there are any changes or additions.
Motion to approve, Madam Chair. I'm not ready. I already
That's
read
fine,
it,
we'll wait for
because
the
I was
second
reading.
and to let people review.
Sure.
I'll second it.
I would like to add something or something that was omitted on item 6, where they're talking about the names of several recommendations for guest speakers were made, and they included.
Item
they listed
6?
some. Item 6,
Bullet number 3.
and the
Bullet
third
three?
bullet,
Yeah.
where the names of several recommendations for guest speakers were made.
Yeah.
Senator Safrini, Judge Andrew, Martha Villarreal. I know that I also recommended Nelly Bielma, so I would like to add her to this list.
Who's taking minutes today?
The secretary is out.
Yeah, who's writing minutes?
Would you like to help me choose minutes today? Yeah. Okay.
There's a correction on
Taking
number 6, bullet 3.
And which one?
And number
The
3,
third
bullet 3.
Oh, yeah. Correction on spelling of plaques. Item, bullet number 4, item 6.
Not plagues.
Right.
I'm sorry, your comment was?
It's a typo.
It's a typo.
Oh, okay, thank you. Please.
Again, on bullet number 1, 2,
The last
6, last bullet. Correction on
Plagues.
plague.
You don't want a plague. You don't want a plaque.
The last bullet on 6, they have plagues instead.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the minutes as noting the correction. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Moving on. Discussion with possible action regarding the Laredo Commission for Women 2019 Action Plan, including but not limited to Hall of Fame event, date to be determined in June. Says here currently postponed. Women Voter Awareness Workshop, date to be determined in April, which we're already in May. Business Etiquette Workshop, due to be determined in June. Young Women's Leadership Conference, date to be determined in September. And Women's Bill Day for Habitat for Humanity, date to be determined. I wanted to ask Ms. Rodriguez, if you had any idea, and I'm going backwards now, on the Women's Bill Day for Habitat for Humanity?
Okay, as of yet, on the last board meeting, there was not a date officially yet because they just finished the golf tournament. And they just told us that Lowe's is not a sponsorship, and they're not doing a sponsor grant for Habitat for Humanity. And so they don't have a set date as of, they usually would do it nationwide Women's Bill, but it's gonna be just local. So they were looking into doing it in March, but that's already passed. So that they're still waiting on a date. So as soon as we hear the information, I'll let you know.
Thank you very much. Young Women's Leadership Conference, I believe that it was Elia that was the chair for this event. And since she is out, I did mention this to Ms. Elizondo from LC, Diana, who has also done some conferences for young women. And I suggested she work together with Elia. But I think you mentioned you have a conference that you annually do in March?
We do a leadership women's conference every March.
Okay.
So we had one in March, yeah.
So maybe we can touch base with Elia, and if there's any, I think there are some people that volunteer to be on that committee, and I can get those names for you.
Okay.
But this was brought up before you joined us, so I'm just suggesting that you join her since you have your experience with you.
And is this for students, Madam Chair? Because this is young women.
Yes,
For students?
yes, it is for students. That's what they've done. We've also talked about,
And I highly recommend September because March is testing.
yes, and I think that was
Yeah.
why we
That's- we need to
decided.
do it.
In the past, if I may, in the past, we partnered with Time of Year. And we have done this before. We did it a couple of years, I don't know how many, five or 6 or 7 years. So it's nothing new.
No, but I think now, Esther, like with Dr. Solis being on the board and her husband.
No,
I think it would be
By all-
great.
That was in the past. No, what I was saying is that that's no longer happening. But what I was gonna get to is that they really help a lot. And in addition to that, they take a lot of the cost and promotions and all that. So it's a great asset to, by all means, partner with her. But, so there's already a agenda to, you can go back and not reinvent the wheel and then change whatever y'all want to change from that on how to communicate with the students and all that.
And who has all that
Invite.
information?
Actually, I think the city does, but if not, I have some of the information. I'll be more than glad to.
Who chaired the
I
last?
did.
The
I did
last
that
year,
one.
okay, so now
2 years ago.
And if I may, maybe just like Rosenda mentioned, the dates on testing, for the girls to be able to be at ease and not be overlapping on their schedule.
I think that was a
by all
consideration,
means.
that's why we
By all
brought up
means.
September.
What grade, what grade? Is it high school or?
It's
is it-
junior-
Yes,
junior-
junior
It
and
was juniors
seniors.
and seniors.
Yeah.
Juniors and high school.
Mhm.
And college students, right?
We didn't have any college students.
You didn't have any college students?
We
But
have
I
the
mean,
young
that
adults.
doesn't say that you can't consider inviting the college students. I think that would be great.
The girls, yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
So maybe like in the fall semester. like-
It was because these
September.
women were being
I'm saying like-
groomed.
Yeah.
They were the young women and
Commission.
they were the commission. And so they were being groomed for graduation to go out when they go out and go to their colleges to be
apply
leaders.
applications.
And if I may, just with the experience, we are constantly having workshops for juniors and seniors. The class that is always left out is the 10th graders. So, I mean, just something that we as a committee can consider because, juniors and seniors are, I know for sure, at least 4 or 5
Yeah,
workshops this
so
year.
much they have.
But, I mean, it's fine, it's just a thought.
Then maybe what we need to do
It is
is,
high school.
Yeah, and that grade is overlooked.
Ninth
Because
and
I-
10th.
Because I have I do a girls' leadership conference for 6th and 9th graders. But 10th is never included in.
I think that the reason why, let me go back and try to think about that, is that they actually had told us, Anita, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they had told us 10 per school, and it was way over that, because we had 200. And that was the max for food and all that. But I shouldn't think that we should put a limit, but hey, whatever the committee decides, because if you have more girls, it was just a matter of their capacity and other material and seating
They did
arrangement.
t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah, the
Okay.
t-shirts,
Yes.
et cetera.
What if we give the schools the option that we say we're open to having 10th, 11th, and 12th, and maybe they can submit the names of young girls that they think would be good for them?
Well, then you'd have 3 counselors working on it.
Oh, the counselors?
Yeah, the counselors will be selecting that. I need one.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's
The
about,
counselors.
for junior, senior counselors are very busy.
Mhm.
I mean, they can do it, but I would hate to have 3 people work on.
And that's who does it, the counselors
Yeah,
do.
the counselors.
They
They're the
know
ones that
the-
recommend
Yeah,
it.
they know,
Yeah.
they give us a list and the
Well,
phone
we're giving
number.
it from the school
Who do you-
district, so I
And
think
for that
10th
numbers,
graders
would it be
good.
maybe junior, sophomores and juniors?
Yeah.
I think that would be
That'd be-
good.
Yes,
I like
but
that.
the seniors, that way, the
The seniors are
sophomores
busy.
get in at sophomore and as juniors, and they're ready for their senior years, because a lot of them are looking for jobs or part-time jobs at their senior year.
And that is a perfect, you're right,
Yes.
that's perfect because that's what we need to tell them about, doing their internships,
Yes.
doing their community service and stuff like that, so that
Well,
they
that's
can
a
get
good
all,
strategy
I think
all the
that would be
Really
experience.
define who the target market
10th and
could
11th, I
be.
think would be good.
Rosina, would you like to be part of the committee?
I'd love to,
Okay,
yes.
great.
That would be good.
You're on your
And we can look
committee.
at, September or October, depending on,
Okay.
on
And
the
then we'll let
semester.
you all get the little details
So I'll put
together.
fall semester just to give money
Fall
away,
semester,
right?
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So we're
Then
gonna do 10 and 11.
moving on, the business etiquette workshop. I don't have here who was chairing that event.
I don't remember. Notice them.
I think it might have been mine, I don't remember.
What is it, the business?
It was you,
Business,
That's what I was thinking, it was me, but I'm like, wait, I don't know.
esto con the young women leadership.
and I think
Isn't that
think
about the
when we
same
had
thing?
discussed this initially, it was to help older women that are going out into the workforce and to help them with business
Hi, Alice.
etiquette and also to help them in going out with resumes and things, helping them get resumes together.
Yeah, we were wanting to have something like at the public library where we have people maybe from the city, maybe from HR, showing them what they look for in resumes, professional etiquette, like what to wear, helping them with interview skills. Like, that's what we wanted, the young ladies for the high school, and this one for older women that want to enter the workforce or for whatever circumstance lost their job and they need that little assistance. We wanted this to be for them.
And we could partner up with Workforce Solutions
Yes.
because they will give all that, they do,
Yeah,
they give all that
Good
training.
idea.
Yeah, on the resumes, on the etiquette, the dress.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Lizette, if you can meet with,
Do you think we should move the date since we're?
well, we're in May.
Right, like it's like.
I think touch base with them and see if they have anything planned for June.
Okay.
And if we need to move it. I don't want to get too far into the summer because then we'll lose a lot of people.
I'll ask Mr. Trevino.
Okay, great. Rogelio,
Yes.
so then you can give us an update and we can email it to everybody prior to the meeting.
Yeah.
If you have dates and then maybe we can move forward on that. Women Voter Awareness Workshop. I believe that was you, Sonia?
Yes, I had proposed that. I think we need a lot of awareness on voting. And then I thought about it later, of maybe integrating it with something of a forum for women. And to see if we could encourage more women in our community to run for public office. And together with that, I know we probably would have to vote on that, but I do want to see if we could have it around September or October, because we know that you've got to be registered 30 days before an election. And the November election is going to, well, this November, it would have to be 30 days before that, so it would have to be sometime in September or early October when we do it.
Could we push it back to August? And only because I would not want to have
Everything
in September. And maybe that'll give you more time to get people to register, so it's not so last minute. Because if it has to be 30 days before.
What is the, can you explain what the purpose of, or what do you all do in this workshop, Sylvia?
Well, no, it's a
Oh.
voter registration education. And there's a lot of people that are not registered.
Right.
But most of all, they're registered and they don't go out and vote.
Right.
And they don't know, we need to specify the issues to them if they need but that's what originally what I wanted to do, but we've always done it. We've already done with the Yes I Will Vote campaign, which is a nonpartisan group that includes different people in the community, like banks, and we have a coalition. And we usually do that, to get more people interested. We have 137,000 registered voters in Webb County. And I don't know if you know how many voted the last election.
32% of that.
So it is a shame, ladies, and it's a shame also a lot of the positions that are held that are very, that can make decisions, for women can be sitting in those positions. We don't have that many women. And I was thinking maybe we could have like a forum and call upon those women to come to it so they can hear women that have already run for office and have lost, and women have already run for office and won, so that they can share their stories. I know I, for one, have run and I have lost, but I know Esther have run, and I think maybe I think it's something that women need to know, that if they're interested and they don't know where to start, they don't know how to do it, they don't think that they can do it or not, they need other women to encourage them. So I thought maybe we could have a forum, And I've been kind of looking around in different places to see where we could have it, and I think I was talking to the women that do the forum for the IBC, and I think that's a perfect place to start. And if you all are in agreement and we would like to maybe incorporate that with it too, I think that would be something new to the community and introducing other women to the political arena. And let's not be afraid, because we're women, that we cannot be in political positions that are powerful, where we can make decisions too. And I just like to see more women in those positions, to encourage them, to lead them, just like we do for other organizations and stuff, and business and here. I think politically we're very behind. So I just wanted to see if you all would like to have something like that we can work on, and all of you are invited to work on with me, whatever you want.
In addition, there's a lot of women's issues that are being
like
addressed, and that we need to have a voice in.
Can I suggest something too,
And
that you use that, Sylvia, kind of use it as a segue into something long-term? In other words, use this maybe as your key launching event, but then we need, in my opinion, I think as a committee of women, I think we need to take a real leadership role in educating, certainly women, but the community, on the importance of voting.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know how you feel
I
about the
agree.
current political climate, but
There are
we
issues
need
that
more.
belong to women that we don't talk about, like in the Me Too movement. There's things that we need to know about pay, that we don't get paid like men get paid. There's things that are happening in the workplace that I know that maybe perhaps all of it has gone through some kind of Me Too, because we weren't, sure at that time we would speak out. But I think that if we could integrate it with voter registration and education, because the education is what we need, so that people can come out and vote and make a difference in their lives, in our lives, and in the community. We can be a much better community if we could work together, and as women, we can do it. We can all do it.
So I can interject that in our leadership conference that we have every year through the Laredo College, we do incorporate voter registration and those issues. And of course, the speaker always will include a lot of pay inequities and things of that nature a lot of times. But
You mean to integrate it with that? Yeah.
no, I'm not saying,
No.
that we have incorporated voter registration and education as part of our leadership conference. We've done that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I introduce it in all my classes. I'm voter registered, and so I tell them I can voter register you here, or you can do it online. And so we're constantly, a few faculty are always promoting that.
And Diana, that is very good, because we've done it so many years, but the registering people is very important. It's the getting them out and educating them on the issues.
To go vote,
And
not
that-
to just register, but to make sure that they go and
The
vote.
education
I don't know if
by,
it's true or not, but I think in some states, and I may stand to be corrected, I think people can vote online. And I think until we make this process of voting a little easier, of not having to drive to a voting place, take out your ID. And
there are
do
some of
this
the
and that.
states that.
I think we're always gonna have this Yes, absolutely. I mean,
Some are caucus
we're
states.
testing in Europe
Right.
from LC,
Well,
and we have webcams, that they use.
Yes,
and
More
so
reason
forth.
why we need to be very, very engaged. I don't know if you know, I don't know what's happened to it, the proposed legislation in Texas. It's going to limit the number of people that can be driven to a polling place.
Yes. Yes.
Have deliberately intended to squash
Yeah.
the elderly, the infirm, the ones who would be taken deliberately intending to limit the number of people.
Instead of facilitating the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, again, I love the idea of Sylvia's proposal, but I'd love to see it evolve into a
I do
long-term.
too.
Yes, definitely.
Would you like to join her committee?
Would you?
Very much going to want
Yes.
to join
And
this one.
I think it's
Everybody
working
wants to
also
join.
is working in their attitude.
Just a moment.
Too many
talking?
Yes.
Because I think
many
it's
talking.
easier to register them, but to help them understand and to change their attitude towards voting, that they do make a difference, that they do need to come out and vote.
Well,
That's
believe
what
it or
we need.
not, the ballot is very long, and
Yes.
people are, and now that we do not have the right to vote the straight ticket anymore, people do not know that, and they have to go down the line, and it's a very long ballot, so we need to have education on the ballot also.
Right, yes, on the ballot, on their
Yeah.
attitude, that they make a difference.
Right,
and
the
stuff
different
like that.
issues.
Yes,
and,
register them, but then take it a little further
Correct,
and explain everything.
correct,
Yes.
and that's what.
Okay.
Yeah, you wanted to add anything else?
I wanted to be
Yes,
added
ma'am.
to the
Go
committee.
ahead.
I wanted to be added to the committee.
Okay.
Miss Sylvia, Amber wants to be added to your committee.
Committee as well.
Okay, and who else wants to
Amber.
belong to the
Amber.
committee?
Amber Avis.
Amber.
Yeah, and I'm just reaching out, ladies, to some of the new members because some of us have already come on board on some of these committees, so that's why I'm kind of reaching out. I'm not trying to single anybody out or leave anybody off, but some of us are already on the committee, so thank you. Alrighty, so then,
When and what month then you said?
ladies, it's up to you. I was suggesting August so that we wouldn't have everything in September. And the sooner the better for you to get people educated, and maybe you might want to have, if you have one large event, like Sylvia suggested, and it's a kickoff, maybe you
Yeah.
can have smaller ones, maybe at the rec centers or something like
Yeah,
that.
because we don't have to just have one, we can have various, places that we can go. And remember, this is nonpartisan, and they will let us go in almost anywhere. And I know that the schools are being already done, I know that Dr. Villarreal takes care of Laredo Independent School District, and I also go and help her with that on a nonpartisan basis. But the fact is that we register all of the students, but then nobody touches base with them after that. And we can't do that. We've got to touch base with them again, and that contact, telling them, that voting is coming about, if we have, they need sample ballots, or if we have to explain to them the sample ballots, it's very important that we do that.
So, yes, ma'am.
No, I did want to mention that it is very important. What I did, I was registering people, but this past elections, I would
Knocking
knock
on
on doors and talk to them, and you're right, they have to be educated, you have to talk to them like it's how important
One-on-one.
it is to vote, yes. But
Well, the
I
whole
won't
thing
do
is-
it again
What market are we going to go after? Because everybody says, the people from the north, we already know they're gonna go vote. The people from the south, those are the ones, and I always worry about everyone. It's not, to me, there's a lot of people from the north that don't wanna go vote. There's a lot of people from the south. Who are we gonna go after, and how are we gonna reach them? It's gonna have to be all kinds of levels of the backgrounds. Sylvia registers people, because she's constant with that, when they're becoming citizens, and by the way, anybody that wants to go with her, it would be a lot of help.
Yes, you'll learn about it.
And she tries to say something, but her time is very limited. Those are the people that I worry about as well, because they just get their citizenship and they're gone.
So
And
when
it's-
you meet, if I may, I'm sorry for interrupting you, when you all get together as your committee, strategize on who you want to, of course, we want to target women because then as mothers, they'll spread the word to
We
their
want to
families.
target women, right.
But you all come together with the date, a facility. If it's a city facility, that's great. I'm sure that it's easier for us to work with the city.
Library.
since we're
Like a
in
library,
The
yeah.
library or rec centers.
There's
and then
no, because there's
let
one
us
on
know.
McPherson and on South. That'd be
Yeah,
perfect.
that'd be it.
Yeah, it's up on the highway.
Right, yeah, so it's already
Yes.
two, one central and one south location.
I will, you do have the people on your committee. We'll
Yes.
send you the other list. We'll email that out to everybody. And that way you can feel free to meet on your own as a committee.
Okay.
And then if you want to communicate with us via email, you're welcome to
Okay.
send it to Ms. Ortiz and she can forward it to all of us.
Sulema, please.
Sulema. Alrighty, thank you. So moving on, our next item on our list. Oh, wait,
Dolores,
I'm sorry.
Whatever is decided on the committee, does it need to get city council approval before they go to the different
No, I believe city
organizations?
council has already
Already
approved our action plan.
Action plan
What
is
we
good.
do need to get approved is if we have any funding issues, if we want to do any brochures or things like that, that's when we would need to go back to them. Other than that, they've approved our items.
But if
Yes,
that
ma'am.
group decides, if they get invited, say, by the women's clubs, and if they take their show on the road, so to speak, the Kiwanis, the whatever,
Rotary.
instead of in one particular, hosting it like in a library or whatever.
I think if
But-
that is gonna be their proposal, then they would need to submit it to us. We can run it by the city secretary and make sure that that would not be an issue. And if not, we can just move forward with that.
And because that would be, like Sylvia says, ongoing year round. I
Yes,
mean,
ma'am.
it's,
Just curious, how does the commission arrive at an action plan? I know I'm coming in late.
Okay, no,
How did
that's
this
fine.
happen? How did this develop?
We should start in October when we have elections of officers. It should happen then. So the whole slate starts October, and that's when we start with the action plan to present it. It didn't used to, well, we've always brought it to city council for their approval, for their review. So,
What?
no, the action plan. And so, there's meetings that they've done in the past. I mean, they've gone like to 3-hour
But if you
meetings.
if I
Yes,
may,
ma'am.
Madam
Yes,
Chair?
please.
And in the past, it used to be that the commission members would meet in June.
in June.
We start because June, July, and August is very slow because of the fact that everybody goes on vacations and things like that. So what we would do, we will meet in June, and everybody would bring all these issues, all these different events, anything you want to succeed, to come forward, any event you would like to see. We will present it as a committee like this, but we will be prepared to have a long meeting. We would host it on a Saturday, and we use the library, and we were prepared to be like an all-day type of thing instead of this 1 hour to 2 hour tops. We discussed, and if there was funding and things like that, if we needed another meeting, we would post another meeting. But once we all decided, which the majority of the time, it was all decided in one day, we break it down from October 1st, November, December, January, all the way up to June. Every month with some type of event, sometimes, 2 or 3 at the same time. And then, of course, we have a chairperson, one member would be in charge of that event. And of course, everybody can be participating on the event, but that chairperson is the main one that has to go out and get quotes, and, all the logistics, all the details.
We would have to get it approved by city council before the fiscal year started, which would be October 1. So all of this was done during the summer so that it's presented
By August.
by
So
August.
this plan was presented to, this is the process you all followed for this one?
See,
I changed the
well,
calendar.
Well,
yeah.
it's like Olga, Sylvia, Lupita, like we were just appointed in January, so that, you know what I mean? So, but I don't know what happened, like
So what
the
happened
process,
this
you know what
year
I mean?
was that
Okay,
elections,
No, I don't either, because I didn't see that.
This is the ideal, in my opinion.
Yeah,
This is the
absolutely.
ideal.
It
to
used to
start
be
your-
that way, it used to be
That's
that,
the
and we
ideal.
get together, we present our action plan, we actually break it down by months, amounts and everything, we present it to council. They reviewed every item and everything during their budget hearing, they say yes, nay, or no, and then approve it. So starting October 1st, we took our plan, we didn't deviate from it. The only thing that would happen if for some reason something fell through, that it would not happen. But if we never brought anything new, it always stayed the same.
So we already have an action plan that has been approved by the council.
That was
But that's going to be ongoing
That was-
because before we used to have a budget. And so we would allocate funds for all of the projects of every month, and that would get approved by city council.
But this action plan that's here has been in place for more than 1 year?
No.
No.
It started-
Because
This is
Mr.
a new-
Valdez told us that, he said, you can submit now for your action plan at any time of the year. So it's not.
It's
we don't-
changed.
It's changed. We're evolving here to something new. This is new territory. He's saying that we can now submit it, and he says if something comes up during the year that y'all are really, set on, present a plan, and then we'll present it to city council, and they will find the funds, hopefully, and that type of thing. But it's, it's something new.
So as a
Something
commission,
new.
have you discussed these, I'm coming in new, so I really
Right.
kind of just need to get a feel. So as a commission of women, have you all discussed the different options? I mean, in my opinion, this is how you strategize and come up with a plan. You come together as a group, you arrive at some consensus, you base it on the needs. Because I did read our bylaws, and
If I may?
that would be the ideal. I'm just curious
Yes,
about whether that's.
and that has been done. But I will say we are definitely, this year is a transition year. Unfortunately, what had happened in the past, and everybody can, pitch in, but what happened in the past was that there were different city secretaries. And the group, 25 years, would go, they were the contact, right, for the committee. They would guide this committee as to what they could do and not do. And at one point, they had told the committee that they were gonna have to help fund the Hall of Fame. So at one point, the committee was actually charging for people to attend the Hall of Fame. Then another city secretary or another recommendation comes down the pike, and they're told, no, you cannot charge, but you're gonna have to raise funds. So they started doing fundraisers to fund their different events. And they worked very hard. And then they were told, you need to become you can't raise funds anymore unless you want to become a nonprofit. And so they said, well, no, we don't want to become a nonprofit. And they actually had some members that resigned at the thought of becoming a nonprofit. So then they said, no nonprofit, we're going to stay with what we have. We'll just continue going to the city with the budget. And then the city started going over every single item that they were doing and saying, you can do this, you can't do that. And so they kind of, last year, pretty much they said, all you can do is the Hall of Fame. That was last year. This year, at the beginning of the year, Mr. Valdez came back and said, no, there are some things you can do, but you just have to see what you can do to help women, go back to the mission. And that's what this group did that was here. We went back to the basic mission, which I meant to read it because
That's why I was curious.
one of the,
I think
well,
we'll let-
Diana suggested that before every meeting, we should say this, so we'll keep focus. The purpose of the commission is to promote equality in legal, social, political, economic, and educational opportunity and advancement for all women throughout the city of Laredo. So that's our focus. And because of that, the ladies did go back and come up with these few events, but they are strong events. And
Okay,
this
so
is why
Sandra, when were they
going-
approved by the city council?
They were just approved about,
November.
no, they were supposed to go to council in November, but Mr. Valdez had not gone to them. So they were not approved until I went, it was in January or February, when I went, when we were trying to get that approved as well as the nominees approved. So our action plan got approved, but our nominees did not.
I can get you the, I have.
So then if we took the nominees with the action plan together, that was in February?
Yes.
Okay, and so the date should be February, the action plan was approved in February?
Yes.
Okay.
You know,
So that's where we're at.
And when was it worked on?
We worked on it October, November, December, January.
Perfect.
When we meet, that's what we were.
I mean, I think the activities that are proposed are strong. I'm just plain and simple, I'm curious about whether we followed, was there a process? It's
Yes,
very
ma'am.
clear, I mean, the idea is
And this
to
is-
identify needs and then develop strategies, and I think all of them fit.
Is this a
But I
yearly
am
thing?
curious, I was just curious.
Yes, on a yearly basis, we have to
So
submit an action plan.
then it
Actually,
seems
no.
like, it seems to me the action plan should be
No.
ready for approval by the city council by September. So
Yes.
that we have the whole year to work with.
Like Alice was saying, work on it.
Well, that's- No, but that's what had been done. Please keep in mind that last year, we were told that all the events we were doing, we could no longer do. So we started from scratch.
But
October,
it goes back
September, October,
to
we
the
start from
bylaws, you know what I mean? That's why I requested the item to be placed on the agenda to review the bylaws,
It's
because,
very clear.
Okay.
yeah, but
I
they
guess I'm
haven't seen
proposing
it.
that we need to establish another committee.
I think you need to understand to, you know, we should bring a copy of an old action plan because they took away all of the young women that we were mentoring, the juniors and seniors. They took away different events that we had, the Thanksgiving baskets, the Habitat for Humanity, the one for the children at the CPS,
Rainbow Room.
the Rainbow Room. We, you know, every month we had something, but then they said, nope, 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 nope.
I
So
guess-
focus, you
can I
have
mention
one
something?
thing, and
Okay,
that's
Ms.
whole thing.
Go ahead, Ms. Miller.
The only thing I want to mention is everything y'all are saying is correct. My concern is that they did tell us that our only function here is advisory, of course, but the only thing we were going to do is Hall of Fame, period. The idea was because of that, is because of the liability. If we were going to go, because we're doing other things elsewhere, you know, and then in legal, they told us y'all can't do that because if something happens or somebody gets sick or something, because we were having tamaladas and we were having the turkey giveaways and stuff like, you
The
know, stuff like
blankets
that.
for the nursing home
I-
patients.
There
and-
was an event, excuse me, every month, and so what happened was that the city said, no more. Y'all are just gonna do the Hall of Fame, period. And we all started, well, what about, can we, it said, well, if it doesn't involve money, but still you're representing the Commission for Women. So they decided, no, so then if y'all wanna do all of that, you're gonna have to form your own 501c3. This is what Joe Valdez told us. So if we wanted to do anything aside from the Hall of Fame, that we would have to do
Well, the
that. And then I think they went back and.
issue what came up.
The issue
Okay,
came back
further
now.
because it didn't come up. But if I may, I just want to stress, part of the reasoning also was that they felt that we were straying from our mission on some of the events. And so because of that, they had us start again, you know, turkey baskets, things like that. They said, no, you need to focus on women's issues and things like that. So they try to refocus us. And again, we started this October, September, where we started again, where they said, yes, you can do some events, and that's why we came up with this action plan. Yes, Ms.
Well, I mean, it's like Mr. Martinez said, you put together a group of smart women. I think the answer to that is you filter it by every
Event,
every
activity,
event,
yeah.
every project that this group comes up with, cross-reference it with the purpose.
With the
I mean,
bylaws.
identify the needs and concerns of women, develop and assess strategies, including community outreach, public-private partnerships, coordination of community and state resources, recommend assistance and services. You know, we launched and conducted a very successful voter registration event through the coalition that Sylvia and a bunch of us were a part of. We didn't spend a nickel. We didn't spend a nickel because we went out, we got great media support, we got great corporate support. We didn't spend a nickel. So you don't have to spend money.
No, I agree with
Can I say
you,
something
and that's kind of where we went back to the roots. And if I may, Alice had and then you.
Okay. It's because I know there's a lot of new members here, and I know this is confusing back and forth, and you know, the new members. The thing is, when we have new members, we have new council members. With new council members comes new ideas.
And the questions.
New questions, new way of policies, procedures. So all that actually took place. we've done, I mean, I've been here very long, I'm talking about 16 years. And, you know, we've hit all the missions. Every member, even some of the ones that are here currently, have targeted the mission. We have. There's been just little here and there that has strayed from the mission, but I believe everyone's job is to stick to what our mission dictates. Like I mentioned, with new council, the new policies and procedures really started taking effect, and they wanted to see our policies, our bylaws. There were blurry lines. It's very general. It's not detailed. We need to get more detailed. We need to be like other counties. All these questions, or other cities, all these questions started coming about, and that's why this year, this commission has been affected by it. And I know some of the new members, you might feel like we're messed up, we're not organized, we're not in order. But we always had everything the way we mentioned, we had it organized, but new council, new ideas, new legal, and new secretaries, all that changed on us.
Absolutely,
So-
and that's how we evolve.
Right.
But my question, and that's why I requested item number 8 to talk about the bylaws, because I had not received the bylaws. Now, I see a lot of red, a lot of scratching out. It says adopted February 21st, so where is our actual new bylaws?
I will say this, Mr. Valdez sat with us for about 3 months,
When?
and
And starting like in October.
Okay, so y'all went over.
yes.
So, all right.
So all the
it says,
changes you see there are changes that we've requested, we went over.
has it been approved?
Mr. Valdez
It has not been submitted,
presented
okay.
it to council.
So our bylaws, technically, the red, we cannot, we've gotta go by whatever is in
Correct.
black.
Yes.
Because bylaws have not been updated since 2011. Am I
Correct.
correct in saying that?
That is correct.
So when is this going to be taken to the council to approve the redos?
We had asked for it, we voted on it, we sent over.
Okay, so now that it's an agenda item, maybe, Mr. Valdez can, cause this is.
And if you
so-
all would like to vote right now, to
Yeah.
request that Mr. Valdez take them to council at the following Monday's meeting, we can do that.
Take a motion right now.
And we used to also have
Would
the
you like
Hall
to
of
make a
Fame
motion?
every
Well,
other
I'd
year.
like to study
Now they
that.
told us, no, it's gonna go every year, you're gonna have a Hall of Fame, every year, and that's it.
You would like to study them?
I would just like to
Yeah.
make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I wasn't asking because I'm unhappy. I think they're strong. I'm
no.
curious.
It's been
I
like
just
this
would like to know
confusing.
how have we come to them?
But,
But
you know,
by no means was it a.
No, it's
You
not,
don't need to
no,
know.
it's okay. It's
You don't need to
all,
know.
you know, throughout all these months.
If I may, Diana was asking
that's
for
what
the
it
floor.
was.
When I heard you all talk, and again, I'm a new person also, a new member, when we get ready to review or propose another action plan for this coming year,
Yes, ma'am.
that we do it on a timely basis, but when I hear you all talk, it's a multifaceted problem. One, it's a funding issue problem, one is a legalities problem, and then there was another problem that came about, I forgot. But there's 3 items that are affecting the action plan. So whether there's new council members or not, I think those are the issues that are confronting. And so if we're gonna want it for September, you need to start forming a committee. Sandra, if I may recommend, soon to start looking at the action plan that we have. Is it still gonna be the same one? Is it gonna be improved? And then take it to legal maybe before it gets to city council, so we can iron out all the legalities, so they
Yes.
don't have to go through all that
Yes,
homework.
and we do that, we usually go through legal, but
Yeah.
we can do that, and the way we do it is we ask for input from everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody can come in with an idea, this is very inclusive, and we will select a date when we can all meet, and then start bouncing ideas and start forming our action
So
plan.
can I make a motion that for the
Yes.
next agenda, we can include it to make a recommendation? I mean, it's not urgent, but it's something that if we don't put it down, I guess we're gonna forget. To start looking or at some
To do
time,
it the
whenever you
action
all decide.
plan or do the bylaws?
Well,
bring it back to
probably the
the
bylaws are
action
gonna be
plan.
part of it, but I'm thinking of this whole action plan that you all have.
About the action.
You need another one for
Yes,
this coming
it's coming
year.
up.
Yeah.
It's coming
So
up.
that's
Okay,
fine.
so,
But we need to have
so the motion is
Okay, the item reads, discussion and possible action regarding the Laredo Commission for Women bylaws and possible ordinance and any matters incident thereto. So is there,
Oh, wait, we're still on item
Wait, yeah, that's the
number
next one.
7.
Yeah.
We're not on item number 8.
But what was the motion?
So the motion from Diana is to start working towards our action plan?
Well, I thought maybe just put it on
For
the agenda.
2019, 2020.
Okay, please, please.
We're not in order.
Okay,
We're out of the
okay,
agenda.
again, what is the item?
Well, I'm thinking that, I don't know if it's a motion now, but I'm thinking of starting the revision of the action plan soon, so that we can have it all ready to go for the council in September, and we'll have the whole year to work on it, I mean, to actually do the things that are in there, instead of getting it approved in February and the year's almost over, and then we're rushing to try to meet deadlines of all
Okay,
these
so your
projects.
motion is that we start,
but we can't.
If
because
I
it's
may,
not-
if
That
I
is
may.
not an agenda item.
it
It's
is,
not.
it
No,
is.
it's not.
Okay, I'm gonna read item number 7. Discussion with possible action regarding the Laredo Commission for Women 2019 Action Plan, including but not limited to.
2019, so
Okay,
we're talking,
correct.
so this is not
Okay,
an agenda
so
item.
then we can put it on the,
That was the original
Agenda.
plan.
But this is
So we should put it for the
Yes.
next
Okay,
agenda,
that's
for the
fine.
next
Finish
month.
with 2019.
So is that
Non-qualified.
what is
no, that's a request to put it on the agenda to discuss
For next
For
time.
next month.
meeting.
All right,
That's
yeah,
fine.
agenda.
Yeah.
That took a lot of oxygen, girls.
So did somebody want to second that?
No, we don't need a motion, we don't need a
can't.
motion.
Because
Because
it's
just
just
making a comment to bring
So I
it
just put
back.
suggestion.
Yes, to put it on the
Regarding the
agenda
approval of
for the
these.
next, okay?
Right, but here, there is a possible action regarding the commission for the 2019 action plan. So are we gonna vote on that?
The action plan has already
I
been,
understand, but the way it's
We
worded,
can
let's
still,
look at
we
the
can still vote
agenda.
on this. We
Yeah.
can
Exactly,
keep
so,
this items or deny
Right.
them.
Right.
so,
we are going item by item.
Yeah,
And
we're
we have
missing
been
one. She went
discussing
backwards, I thought.
okay.
So the last, and the reason why I did that is because the last item now is the Hall of Fame.
Okay, but usually we go,
I did go over it down,
yes, and that's how we
And
should
then I
go
came
now. For minute wise, we should be following the way it is, because.
We're going up.
Yeah.
We're going down.
so the last item, yes ma'am.
Just one comment, because I think because we have a lot of new people, I don't know if you all think we might need to have like orientation for the new ones, because I know how it feels when you walk in and everybody talks and we don't know what you're saying. We don't understand because we don't, haven't been here. So if you all think maybe, if it's necessary later or whatever, to have orientation as to what it is, that, well, we already talked about it a lot, so
Plan.
if you all don't want to talk about it, or if you all want to get together later and we can all do that, como quieran ustedes, I just think maybe in the future, we need to have orientation on the new, because we're so many new ones, because sometimes it's only one or two, but right now we have a lot more, So it's up to the people here, if you all want to have an orientation later on, or if not, if we're doing it as we speak,
I think we've done it, and probably for the next coming year, we can.
Okay.
And I know that we've had a lot of turnover because of the new city ordinance regarding attendance to the meetings, and so we did lose a lot of members. But yeah, that's a very good point. So we should have a binder that we can give to each.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, there's
Oh,
plenty,
half of
we
it.
could have
Ramirez,
a
what
meeting.
district are you?
I'm sorry, Mr.
Yeah, District
Valdez.
two.
and-
District 2?
Okay.
And then
I was
Ms.
gonna-
Bruni?
I'd like to make a proposal, I guess,
Yes,
to
ma'am.
instead of like an orientation, maybe we did like a,
Workshop?
not a workshop or like just like a retreat with us, getting to know each
Yes,
other outside
yes,
of here,
yes.
and then we can do the
Yes.
action planning together
And then-
in a more like open
And then-
setting. instead of on
And
the
when we do things like that, because we are a public committee, we have to be careful on quorum and things that are discussed. So we would have to do it in a meeting setting. So we couldn't
I think
really,
that could be
as a large group.
comments.
We can have lunch together, but not discuss anything of the committee, so that will not work. But we can certainly always meet. Okay, so the last item here is the Hall of Fame event.
Wait, did we take any action on number 7?
It's still on there. That's not.
She went down, up, instead of going
We're on
up,
seven.
down,
From down.
she
from up.
reversed
Okay,
it.
so we're at the Hall of Fame, right?
Yes.
but
Okay. And we have gone over each item that was on there, and we discussed, and we got some new committee members. So right now, we're on the Hall of Fame event, and the date to be determined, it was in June. But currently, they put here that it's postponed. I have had a lot of calls from some of the applicants as to what is happening, and, did you want to make a comment?
if you want me to, I will, I don't know. I put it on the agenda
Oh,
because I am confused.
Okay.
I'm confused because I think at the last council, my understanding, meeting, it was postponed. And so, I think, we need to get clarification from the city council. Do they want the ceremony to occur in June, July? Do we proceed with a max golf course, with the menus, the things that we talked about? I don't think we can continue until we get an approval from them and says, yes, go ahead. My opinion is that we need to continue because you all selected nominees already for this year. And I think to just skip it, just because things are happening, I don't think it's appropriate. That would be what I would tell the council.
Well, what actually happened at council is that the approval of the nominees, the people that we had approved, was tabled. So we can go back to council on Monday if you would like,
Yes.
if you all vote, to ask council what they would like to do, because if we wait any longer, then we would be into their meeting for June the 1st. They meet the 1st and the 3rd, so their next meeting is on Monday, and that would give time for us to continue moving
Okay,
forward.
I'd like to make a motion, and then we can have discussion from everybody, that we send two of our members, maybe Lizette
Before
or
we make
Diana
the
to go to the council.
Excuse me? Before we make the motion, could we get some input from Mr. Martinez? Just.
Well, let her finish her motion, and
And then we'll have a discussion,
Okay.
we'll have a discussion.
So
So my
second.
motion is that we take it to this next council meeting on Monday to discuss all the issues related to this year's Hall of Fame, just to make sure that we're doing it right. Yes, it is a go, the nominees are a go, the plays,
No, that was made clear, that was made very clear at the meeting, and,
Well, let her finish her motion.
okay, but
and then-
she's questioning, so I'm answering the questions
Oh,
now.
well, she's making a motion, and then we'll see if
We'll
it's
discuss it
second.
right now. My nomination is to take it and just to make sure that we're all on the right page. And see what they say, and then we can proceed. And if part of my motion would be to assign two members. I think maybe Diana or Lizette can go and present to the city council this Monday and see if we can get a.
Okay, so
Okay, now
that's
it's
a
open for
motion.
discussion.
No, it's not
I'm
open
gonna
for
second
discussion.
just for the purpose of discussion. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
second.
Yes,
So
yes,
Sylvia
just so we can
seconds,
discuss.
so now,
And I'd like to mention something.
yes, ma'am, so when we make a motion, you
Yes.
make a motion, if there's a second, we can continue to discuss,
Right.
if there's no second,
Okay, there's
the
a
motion
second.
dies.
That's right.
Second was.
She seconded by Sylvia, I'm just,
Yes.
so people know.
Well, we all watched the video that
I'd
we
be
have to
very,
watch.
I'd be
We'll
very
watch the rules.
hesitant, if you have women that I don't have any idea who they are.
Neither do we.
I'd be very hesitant about bringing something like this up if women have already been nominated. And again, I don't know enough about it, maybe I'm off base. But if you already have women that have been nominated and for some reason they come back and say not approved, and it gets out that some women, I mean, it could be very, very
It could be very hurtful,
hurtful. I
absolutely.
mean, but that's for all the wrong reasons. It might not have anything to do with them, but if you already have women that have been nominated by this group,
They applied, there was a committee that selected or reviewed the applications, made a recommendation. But a lot of us members don't know who was on the list. So I for one don't know who's on the list, but I'm sure the ladies who
Oh,
applied
but
know, you know what I mean?
clarifying that point is because before, we're just an advisory committee. Before
Absolutely, we've
the-
always been.
Yeah, but the commission before would decide and then they would go on with the event with the people they nominated. This is the first year that city council has to vote on every
Has
candidate.
requested that they approve.
Yes, So it is gonna be on.
And
the
so my
back-
question to that was, where was it sent by city council by form of a memo or something to let us know that that had been changed? That is not in the bylaws.
City secretary told us.
But is it written anywhere?
And
So,
that's what they
Mr.
want
Martinez, can you just look into that? If you can, just look into it and see what, you know, because if it's not in writing, ladies, it never happened, you know? I'm sorry.
I don't even know who the nominees are.
Yeah.
Ms. Rocha Taylor here was going to present them and was stopped short of presenting them.
Well, I think the council members all received copies of who we had selected, and everybody here did.
But he's saying he's not aware, he's a council member.
He didn't get
He didn't get,
I didn't see the list.
no.
There's a list,
Yes.
but I was waiting for you to present them, so.
Oh, okay.
Because for me, I would just accept for what you all do. I know you all are advisory, but y'all put a lot of work into it.
Yes.
And so whatever you all decide is fine with me.
But the
But you
question,
voted to table.
but we're getting away
I
from
did,
the
well, no, I didn't vote
question.
to table, I voted in favor of tabling it. I
But
was,
there's a lot, go ahead.
Well, my comment is, I'm new here also, very new. And so I wasn't at city council, but I watched and connected to the discussion that we had here at this table when the city secretary was here. And then what happened at council was the concern seems to be that there is no criteria, no recognized criteria for the nominees to be selected. So since it is an honor, not every applicant should receive the honor. Because then it's just you just sign up, then it's just a list. You sign up, you want the award. So the concern seemed to be the lack of criteria. So what we were supposed to be doing, and I think there's committees and all kinds of stuff that's working on it, but we're supposed to create criteria.
Yeah, I know,
Once the
I
criteria-
proposed it.
Okay,
So Esther and Sylvia.
So that the reason that there's no, just because they were selected here, they
But I
haven't
think
been.
the council,
they
the
haven't been
council this
approved.
year's
My
ceremony
apologies, I
is.
have an award ceremony.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
They have,
So
but
let
they've
me
not been
just-
selected. They were selected here, but they haven't been approved by council. So
Yeah.
they're not
So let me clarify, if I may.
They're not, right, they're not approved, so they're tabled. So
Let
they're-
me clarify, just for
they're not
everybody.
getting- They're not getting an award because they
So,
haven't been
this is
selected.
what's happened, okay?
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
In
what
25
you
years.
said, absolutely right.
In 25 years, there was not a selection criteria that gave numbers or any type of grading to the applicants, okay?
It was just
So
an
we-
application.
The group consulted with some of the members that have been here before, that have been on selection committees before. So what had happened in the past was they would get the applicants, they'd go over the applications, and if there were not any reasons to disqualify them, then they would review them. But they were receiving 4, 5, 6, 10 applications, okay? And pretty much from what we were told, the people that nominated these individual women, the women were very qualified. So they were 99% of the time, everybody, if I may, that was submitted was accepted and brought into the Hall of Fame. This year,
No, that's not true.
no,
No, that's not
there
true.
were some people that were disqualified for reasons on the application and things like that, yes. But other than that, they were very qualified individuals, and so they were honored at the Hall of Fame. What happened this year is, in past years, we may not have made a very good effort of marketing it. And so this year, we did a very intensive marketing campaign to get the community to nominate, because we can't nominate. And this year, the city went very strict on who was eligible. So they cut out elected officials, they cut out people that were,
Working in the city.
no, not employees working with the city, but people that had been elected in the city and the county. Nobody from the commission, nobody serving on any city commission could be nominated. So they kind of gave us,
Narrow it.
narrowed it down. So this year, we went on the newspaper, we went on public access, and we went to the morning show on KGNS. So we got a lot of applicants. So this year at one of our meetings, which you're happy to see, review, I brought up the point that we need to come up with a criteria, because if we're gonna continue marketing it out there, we're gonna get more and more applicants. And so that's when Deanna suggested looking into the criteria and how we could select. But we did state in our meeting that because we had people that submitted based on the current application, because we were gonna have to review application plus criteria, we agreed to honor the people that the selection committee had accepted, and whatever selection criteria we came up with would be for the following year.
Yeah.
That's what we had agreed on.
Too short notice.
And so we brought the nominees here, everybody voted. I think there was maybe one person that was not in agreement with the selection, but it pretty much passed, majority passed it. And that's when we took that slate to City Council. Unfortunately, I think they had some misinformation there, and they wanted us to come up with a criteria, but it's not something we can do overnight.
Right.
It's gonna take time and effort to review the actual application and the criteria. Yes, ma'am.
And because I was in that committee, like when we sat down because of the application, the first thing I told her, I'm like, I think it's only 1% per criteria. Even before I even looked at the application, and she's like, it's not in the application, it's nowhere in writing, and I'm just like, oh.
It's nowhere in
Yeah.
writing that we say we're only gonna select one person per
And that's
category.
where
Prior years, it's been
Yeah.
more than one.
It's been more than one.
Too much.
So that was like the pickle. Well, even if it's too much, it's not in writing, and that's when we were just like, okay. And that's even before looking at the applications. And once we looked at them, I'm like, so how do I disqualify something? What am I looking for?
Yeah.
There's no criteria. So me in good faith, I cannot say that one person is not going to be on there when I don't have something to back up me saying this is why you're not eligible or you're not qualified as the other person. Like, so when we sat there, it's not that we wanted to say yes to everybody. I don't have a measurement to really tell somebody you can't get it.
So
But we did
I want
discuss,
to
if I may,
well,
Esther.
okay, I do want the floor.
Thank you. We did go over all the applicants. We did look over why they were being nominated.
Who's we?
The selection committee. Last year, you and Sylvia were on the selection committee. This year, there were 4 people on the selection committee. So we did go over individual, we met twice. We came back and we met again and went over them again. And if people knew them, they stepped out of the room for the other people to review them. So they were discussed and their qualifications were reviewed. Council had issues, one of the comments was family, nominating family, which, you know, there was a couple of daughters nominating mothers, but I didn't see a problem with that. And one of them is a general and a lieutenant general that has an MBA, a doctorate, is working with the VA. So they're very qualified individuals, a lot of these people. So, it's just very sad that we can't move forward with this, and they're calling, the people that applied, because some of them, it was a surprise, the people that were nominated didn't know that they were being nominated.
Did you all have an application form?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because my just observations, if you already have an application form, and those candidates or nominees were nominated based on that application form.
Yes, ma'am.
It's gonna be very, very awkward for you now, or for us now, to come back, create a set of criteria
Absolutely, I
that
agree.
are going to be.
That's why we said
I
for
mean, they
next
didn't
year.
apply to that criteria, they applied under this criteria.
So, but what
I said,
happened
wow.
was, where the whole thing was, is that the committee stated that there was no criteria. So they could not refrain, everybody was gonna be selected.
No, that's not
Well,
why
I
they were approved.
No, I can go back to the minutes, I can go
But
back.
that's not why they were
Well,
approved.
allow me to finish like you asked me to allow you. The committee mentioned that there was no criteria, so they could not make a decision, so everyone was going to be approved. That was or submitted or whatever, qualified if you will. Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm just letting you know
Okay.
that that's where all of this started. And then what happened was, in the past, and last year there was 4 in the selection committee, in the past, there was a criteria established by the committee. So the committee would form their criterias. So when it was said that there was no criteria, it also questioned things that there's been no criteria. Having said that, some of the applications were moved around because they were not in that category, so you put them in another category, which is nothing unusual to do that. But some of them felt that they were not qualified. What happened when the nomination was made to go ahead and move forward, and it was, and as other committee members, Laredo Commission for Women members stated, they only agreed to it because there wasn't a choice. This is what we have to do, and this is what we're going to do for this year. But if you go back to the videos, Joe Valdez recommended and stated we need to apply the criteria this year. Later on, it was pushed and said no for next year, and all of a sudden it took a wave and it went for next year. The whole discredit is that the applicants were all bunched in and all approved, and they're not all in the same measure. They all don't measure equally. There's some that are very qualified and some that there's room for improvement.
Well, isn't
So
your
that's-
application your criteria?
Yes,
But
and they all fill that criteria.
That's what
There's-
your
I think
your
you have to use
application
that
would be.
standard for this year only,
There
you
and
go.
next year we'll
That-
read.
but that's
We
not
did review that.
the consensus.
It's just, what we were saying is, even though
I
I'm
mean,
a
that's what we're
committee,
saying. If you apply,
I'm
you're
not,
in.
yeah, even though we're in a committee, I'm not comfortable with us for creating a criteria on our own and then bringing it up to y'all. That's why when you brought up the suggestion, that would be better, that there's a committee.
For future
Yeah,
years, for next year.
but that's why I said that, and how you're saying some are more qualified than others, I don't wanna say, cause that's just my opinion. I wanna make sure that there's something where we all agreed upon that this is a criteria that we all think is fair and consistent, not Lizette Cuellar and and
Right.
the committee decided. I wasn't comfortable, but even at that, we are just submitting a proposal. City council could have easily said, you know what, we just want one per thing, so we're just gonna sit here and say, we don't want this one, we don't want, it was at their discretion. We weren't telling them who to vote for. This is just a suggestion. At any moment, they could have easily said no to any of them.
But they're not gonna do that in
Well, we did
public.
feel,
But
I will say
that's how it is now. But now it is how it
I
is.
was gonna say
We
that-
did disqualify, because you did say that that applicants have not been disqualified. That needs to be corrected, because we disqualified.
No, I did say,
applicants.
applicants have been disqualified
We did
in the
disqualify
past. Yes, ma'am.
applicants.
As a long-term member, and I've been in the selection committee, I need to correct something where it constantly being said that it has never been
Right.
done or has never been, submitted,
Right.
that all applicants that applied have been nominated. I need to correct that because there have been years that we received 6 applications and we accepted all and we honored all 6 applicants. So we cannot say that we haven't. We have. We have also disqualified some, in the sense that there were so many in a year. There was a lot of applicants, and so we did have to go by the application and right off the bat, before any names, anything was met, okay, did they meet the standard 3 packages? Did they meet the deadline? Did they meet and put in
Was
the
the
category?
application
I
complete?
mean, those little things, if they missed something, we discarded them. And not knowing who they were or anything, oh, you didn't make the 3 packages? Okay, this member has to be out. Why? Didn't make the 3 packages. This member, okay, this applicant didn't meet the deadline, 5 o'clock, it says here 5:10, this applicant gets disqualified. Those were the little things that disqualified them. And then, of course, then once we put the new stacks up and ready to go, we reviewed every individual category, and the applicants were there. And we reviewed the information that was submitted. So, information submitted is very important, and it's just like when you apply for a job. If you put a lot of information about yourself and what you're capable of doing to someone just saying, I'm here to apply, you kind of look at the one and say, okay, I'm just here to apply, and you say, wow, this one has a lot of background information, they've done this, they've done that, so you kind of go with that candidate instead of the candidate that just says, I want to, I'm applying for this, and that's it. Nothing to give you an information or entail who that person is. So those were some of the criteria that the committee, at the time of the committee, selected. That's why the committee members are members who decide this. Every year it's different committee members. And then of course, after you select and you minimize it, they brought it back. We will bring it back to the whole commission, and then the whole commission would decide.
I would like to say something too. Sylvia, it was brought up about creating, I'm addressing Sylvia Bruni, about getting a criteria, which is why we selected a committee. But we did state, the people that took the time to submit an application this year went by the current application we have. So we cannot change the rules in the middle of the game. We said that. Now, number one, in the application itself, which I have heard what Alice mentioned in the past, I had heard where somebody submitted a lot of things. If you read the application, there are there's three times where you have to submit a write-up. Two of them say maximum half a page, maximum. So I can tell you that I know that there's no way that you could put everything you've done in half a page. So I looked at it and thought, well, maybe this is a typo, and they didn't stick to it. But if you stick to it, a lot of these applications would be disqualified because they've gone over half a page.
But we use the common sense.
But that's the application, because I did have one individual, if I may, I did have one person that was nominated, and they sent me the application, and they said, Sandra, here's my application, how does it look? I said, well, it's gonna go to a committee. And I mentioned, because I had always heard, we go by how much they put in. I said, you may wanna stress a little bit more on some of the accomplishments of the individual, because this was a surprise. And the person said, but it only says max half a page. How can he's the one that pointed it out to me. And how could I argue with that? And I said, oh, no, you're right. That's why one of the other things I tasked Diana's committee with was you need to look over this application, because if this is what we're basing our criteria on, we're not following this. So that was another comment. Yes, ma'am.
Just a comment again. I think whatever is discussed for later, for now, I think bottom line, I think we need to be prepared to address the current dilemma. How are we going to address council regarding the fact that it's on hold right now versus?
Well, that was my nomination, guys, and I did get a second, you discussed, so now I think we need to take a vote.
People should not
So then we can talk, I guess,
The
when I
nominees don't know they got selected.
But I need to correct that. Some people have been told.
Yes, and Ms. Bruni,
Ms. Recognize Sandra just a minute, please. I'm just gonna take 1 minute of your time. That's why we
Go
need
ahead.
orientation, because we're gonna take a long time, maybe.
go ahead.
I'm sorry
Sylvia.
to be a pest here. But I need to say and correct Alice for a minute. I've been here also a long time. We would set the date for them to submit their applications, right? And they would call us up. Ladies, we only have 3 or 4 that have already submitted. We need more. We all need to get together and see who else is gonna apply. I'm being honest with you, because this has happened to us before. And I too have gone to the radio stations and everything, and como quiera no teníamos. We didn't have anybody applying. And I have never seen this much of applications either. I mean, let's say 15 or 20 or 30. Nobody has ever submitted that many.
Yeah.
So then they submit 5. Bueno, pues las 5 es that we need to honor somebody. So we do. Who do we compare it to? We just have to say, okay, they're all good, vamos. But that's not the way to do it. But I'm just saying, to be honest and quite frank with you, so that all of you new ones would know, this is the way that we wouldn't have enough people applying. So they would bring it back, hey, we need to extend the deadline. We gotta go further because we don't have enough applicants.
Okay,
And excuse me, and that happened, not more, and we have had, us have to go around asking people, hey, do you all, it's true.
If I may?
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Mayor. For all those ladies that are new, before this application, we used to have 15 different categories, and if I could be corrected by Ms. Sylvia. There were 15 categories, and then there was a committee that said, maybe we could combine, this with this, because there were too many categories. And matter of fact, sometimes they would not even apply for some of the categories, so they condensed to 7. And what happened was that, because this lady qualifies in education, she has a volunteer, this one has this. So that's why the categories were changed within the committee, because they had so many, they could fall into different categories. But I mean, the categories used to be 15 and they condensed to 7. And the thing is that this is the very first time that has been, that we were driven to that it was going to be approved by council. Now it's like some people were mentioning, once they're going to approve, the names are going to have to come out. And the council, the city council, Mr. Martinez, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, would have to approve, okay, this is myself, Diana, Sandra, as they said, okay, you know what, I don't like Diana.
They're gonna be on the spot.
I don't want her, and this is gonna be public.
But that's their choice.
This is the first time that this is gonna happen.
They could do that in closed session, and they were said no.
No, you can't.
No, we
It's a
couldn't go to
public
closed
committee.
session.
So, but again, we go back to
couldn't go
the
to
real
closed session.
issue. The real issue was the criteria, guys. That just like you
We
said,
did-
just because there were 13 applicants, all 13 got approved.
No, ma'am, that is incorrect.
No, it's not incorrect, because 2 dropped out. That's what you're talking about.
No, ma'am. We had a selection committee and the
It's in the
selection
tape.
committee.
We can go back to the
I guess
tape.
we can go on and on about this because we have gone on and on about this.
Yes.
Even council has heard us on and on about
Yes.
this. Bottom line is that we've been postponed. Bottom line is, we decided there will be a criteria. It is being worked on. I know Diana and
Next year.
Sylvia and you're working on it so we can move forward. I doubt it that it's gonna be for this year, those criteria. So there's no way we're gonna be able to do this.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor that's been made and seconded to go back to council and ask them about the nominees for the 2019.
The ceremony for this year,
Yes.
yes or no?
Yes.
The
And that's
nominees,
it.
yes or no? The plays, yes or no?
Yes.
And that's it.
And I will-
Let's discuss the criteria in
Later.
September,
Yes, and I
October.
will say this in closing, so we can take the vote. There were 4 of us on the committee, and we did have a selection criteria, and we did go over each individual. We, just the way this committee came up with their selection criteria last year, we came up with our selection criteria. And we consulted with Alice, who had been on the selection committee for a long time. So, yes,
To
ma'am.
send it on a positive note. I just want to put things into perspective, please, with everybody, the older members, newer members. We're losing sight of what the event is. We're here to
Excuse me,
empower.
can we have, Liz has the floor, please.
It's just, I want to end things on a positive note. We're getting away from the purpose of the Hall of Fame. We were here to acknowledge women in our city that are doing great works.
Yes.
And I think we've gotten away from what the purpose was. It was
Yes.
to honor them for what they've done. That's what the Hall of Fame is for.
Correct.
All these other things that the applicants and that the city, all it was, we're gonna honor you, ma'am. You've been doing a great job.
Yes.
City council was just gonna approve the ladies. What I'm disappointed at is that they tabled everything. I thought they'd at least approve some. If you have questions on some of the ladies, that's fine. But how are we gonna go back and tell the ladies, I'm sorry, but your application was tabled. I don't wanna be that person.
They already saw, some of them saw, and unfortunately, some of the names got out. We asked people not to say the names, and they
But
went
you
out and
got,
told.
okay, and I'm gonna have to
So
go back on
how-
that.
how
How do we get in order? I mean, how should I address so that I want to, like, I'm gonna wait politely for you to
You,
finish?
wait, raise your hand.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, go ahead, finish.
So we did go through the process. Our selection committee had a selection criteria. If, I believe Esther misunderstood when we said for the future, we need to come up with selection criteria and we need to revamp. But those women that we selected were very deserving women. They've been working very hard in the community. Regardless of who nominated them, how they were nominated, and all of them, and we'll be happy to, we can email you all of their information so you can see for yourselves. And there's older women that have been with us for many, many years, and there's some younger women that are just starting out, but we felt they were good role models for the women in Laredo. And it's very frustrating when you're going up there and some of them are in the audience or watching and they're getting tabled.
They weren't there, Sandra. Why do you
Some
say
of them
things that are
were.
not true?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Is it an application?
Yes.
Or is it an application or a nomination?
It is an application
With a
and
nomination.
that's how they nominate. They
That's a sample of it.
submit that application.
Who, you submit, like if I wanted to be in the Hall of Fame, I'd submit my application?
No. Someone else nominates somebody.
Like, let's say I know Sandra, and then I nominate Sandra, but I don't tell her, she can't know. And I
Some
need to
people
find
know,
her.
some people
Yeah.
don't.
But so it's a nomination?
Yeah, it's a nomination.
Right.
It's a nomination.
And that's
Yes.
the
And
application
that's
for you to
the
nominate.
That's a nomination for it.
So this is a nomination form. It's not
Yeah.
really, an application is you're like
It's a
applying for
nomination
something.
form.
A nomination is you're being chosen for something. You're being
Nominated.
recommended.
You're recommending,
to be
as a
chosen.
commission, as a
And I
commission.
think there's great difference in meaning there. And there's a reason that something titled the Hall of Fame is arrived at through nomination, not through application.
That's what everybody has referred to it as, but we can
Right.
refer to it as something else.
Well,
That's fine.
I'm making the point, right, that this is a nomination. It is not an application. And it is an honor
Correct.
to be recommended
Yes.
and nominated. It's not people applying for
Themselves,
a
yeah.
position in the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
It is somebody taking the time to nominate a person that they feel should be honored
Yes.
or recognized.
Yeah,
And I think that distinction is significant.
it
And you
is,
know-
and there were a lot of people that took a lot of time and effort to meet the deadlines because they had to submit to the city secretary's office. It doesn't come up to us individually. They had to submit it, they had to date it. City secretary took time to make copies for the selection committee, and then we sat and we reviewed them. And then I said, let's meet again, and we sat and we reviewed them again. So just make sure these were the people that we wanted to honor. And this is where we're at. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to agree with you because having been on a committee before, we have come across that, is it a selection, is it a nomination? Because there have been some wonderful ladies in this community that have been nominated either by someone at their employment and unbeknownst to them, and we get this little application that's like not even high school quality, just somebody, hand wrote or typed a couple of things and weren't doing them the honor that they deserve. I think they need to know so that they can say, hey, well, then let me showcase myself. Let me tell you what I've done. And a lot of times, some of the people that nominate them, be it their husband, be it their friend, they don't know the technical part of that particular category that we've had ladies that they've had nominations from the state that they're very well qualified. They've been in the community for many, many years, and they've had a lot of accomplishments, but only because we know. And nothing is on that application. And if we're going by just those papers that are turned in, it's hard. It's very hard,
Well, the
that
good thing-
nomination application thing.
And Dolores, because we served together, we wanted to distinguish, Hall of Fame to distinguish, it's a Hall of Fame, so you had to do something out of the box. And again here, these were all piled in, and there was not a comparison. You had out of the box and you had a regular, and that's what the criteria was off, and we're saying, again, I'm gonna go back to, I'm repeating the word that you all said, that there have been no criteria. It was way off, because there were some that were not at the level that some people were, some of them were not at the level at all, and it wasn't fair. It wasn't a fair.
You weren't doing that person a
You're-
service
you're
by
not doing them a
disqualifying
service.
them.
But
Because they definitely,
Right.
but based on what we have, you
Right.
know, again, no criteria or
Right.
limited criteria, it
And-
was very hard.
And I will say that last year, the selection committee reviewed and they brought their slate and they told us some were disqualified and that we went with what they had selected. We accepted their recommendations and we all voted on it and we moved forward. And they did tell us that they got disqualified for, just like she said, there wasn't enough on the application and that's what we're going by, or the nomination form. There wasn't enough on the nomination
Or they didn't
form.
qualify, period.
So
But they
they-
did not
so-
qualify.
Yeah, or they did not, they didn't have that wow factor, they didn't do anything, they just.
So there's a criteria, they didn't have that
Volunteered
wow factor. We
something.
didn't say, well, because she applied, let's go ahead and nominate her. So
And
we
that
can-
was not-
So we can have the numbers, talk
Again.
about numbers.
The women that we, the selection committee, chose to honor this year, we felt were very worthy. That's why we selected them.
So why doesn't council, I mean, so if we do nothing right now, if we don't present any criteria, and we present the same slate again to the ladies like Diana is
We
saying,
need to-
asking for yes or no, do we move forward, yes or no? This is our slate of ladies, you know.
They made it.
Will y'all accept
Yeah,
it?
the meeting, it was.
Will y'all accept it, or are we gonna have it thrown back again?
Yeah, see,
Okay.
we
Yes,
have,
well, that's not fair.
we have a city council
I
member.
hate to put you on the spot, but
Ladies,
Madam Chairman,
Thank you.
from what I understood, sitting on council, again, I was new, so all of this was new for me as well. But the criteria for nominations was lacking, and that's what, I was getting phone calls and I was also talking to some of my colleagues there on council, and there was a lack of criteria, and it was coming at us very fast versus September, where everything is already set. Women's Month comes, and they're honored in Women's Month, so it was decided, table it, put the criteria together, make it uniform for now and future endeavors, and that way it's always there. You have a ranking, it's set, everybody that's nominated, anybody can nominate. And then once they fall into that criteria, they're chosen. And if these ladies that you all chose meet that same criteria and you all are okay with it, I'm pretty sure it's gonna go through.
That makes
The other
sense.
thing that council wanted to do is set some sort of a budget, and that way you all know all the time that you're gonna work with this budget and.
But they approved 10,000.
Yeah, they approved 10,000.
Yeah, we talked about, I think it was 6,000 and then.
So together it would amount to 10,000.
So basically,
That
whoever
used to be 10,000.
applied, whoever was nominated, what you're saying is they're gonna have to renominate again.
That's not what he's saying, if the applications were good
Well,
enough.
If the
because you,
applications that are on there are good enough and they all meet the criteria that you all come up with,
the thing
but
is,
we
the
don't have our
criteria,
treatment.
we're
We're
gonna have to be adjusted along with the
That was council
application.
members' audience
they have
concern.
criteria, but it wasn't written.
it was a uniform.
So now we were working for the following year to make
April,
a uniform,
March.
have a
March is
ranking
Women's Month.
form
Yeah.
with a
For next
scale,
month.
and make it really nice and visible and transparent. But they had their own criteria as they were going through that, but then when nothing was written, you know what I mean? So given the fact that there was that discrepancy of maybe not being so objective or so visible, we said, let's go with what they've done, honor that, and let's move forward for next year.
But we've had 25 years
that's what I
of
wanna
doing it
convince-
that way.
Yeah.
25 years of doing it.
Oh, but if we could just convince the council or ask them and tell them,
I
explain
think
to
you all take
them.
a vote, decide what you want to do.
Yeah.
And then please call your council members and say, hey,
We're gonna vote.
this is what we want to do.
Why we postponed it. On the 18th of March, I think is when you all met, and that was when we approved, we would turn it in to be approved. But there was not enough time between the 18th to the 31st, when we were gonna have it, to get everybody videotaped.
Because we should have
We
had
were
them
not prepared.
No.
We would have had it there, yes, because that was what Joe Valdez had said.
It's very
Hey, we
rushed.
got to postpone it, he always kept saying that.
Right, but that's not.
And, well,
the
I'm
issue
just
right
saying, Sandra, if you don't mind, that's what happened. The 18th was when they were getting together and we had to approve it in March because we only had that much time. We ran out of time. They had no choice but to take it off for March 31st.
I think
The
if
guy that
you're doing,
videotaped, he couldn't
Well,
do
and that
anybody.
was
like previous.
that was the choice, but again, we weren't able to meet quorum because a lot of the council members had not selected people for the board. We didn't meet quorum. We had an issue as far as elections because in the old bylaws, we had a chair-elect position that chair would have automatically come in to be president, and or chair, and there was a question about that. So they went to legal and they said, well, chair-elect doesn't mean you're the incoming chair, which I thought it did, but they said no. So they went ahead and that delayed elections another month and then another month because of course. So then there we are starting January, February. So we were behind the ball like 3-4 months. But due to these little issues, and that's why when we came to March, and then you all didn't meet in January but once. So
That's why Joe Valdez suggested, let's do it until next year because we're not ready and we're rushing. And because we were rushing, well, let's go ahead and vote on these because we don't have any time and we didn't have any criteria. And everybody just approved them. And everybody just approved them and everybody just approved it because we didn't have any time. That is not the way things should be done.
Well, actually, I think everybody here that was present to make the selections of the applications could have easily said no.
Exactly.
We easily voted no. I personally, I guess I might as well go on record, I did have an issue with one of the applicants. And I spoke up about that issue.
Yes,
And the only thing I said was, it's illegal for this person because it's so-and-so and they do so-and-so. Can they be nominated? If legal has no problem with it, then I have no problem. Other than that, I personally have an issue with this person being nominated because of this. I did speak up.
So
But other than me, I didn't hear anybody.
No, everybody else.
I did too. I spoke out because it was being rushed. I know that Elia Guevara was concerned because it was being rushed. You just didn't, everything was being rushed.
But the
I'm not gonna go
vote
into
that took place passed.
I did it, I made the
Driving
motion
this.
because I wanted for it because it was rushed, because you had to take it on the 18th, and
Yeah.
I did make the motion. A little hesitant about it, but I did, because we were también arguing a lot.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor that we take this back to council to see if they
I think
will
that's just
approve
vote
the
on yes or no.
applicants or the nominees, or what is gonna happen with.
For the whole process.
For the
My
whole
nomination is to look at the whole process of this year's nominees, the date, the place, the food, the budget, and all that. It gets 5 points. And-
Well,
and
we
if
have
they
a
say
budget,
yes,
we have a budget.
Okay,
We were
whatever you
told,
think is the
if I may,
point of clarification.
we have the budget, we were told we could have the event wherever we wanted. The issue is, the only way we can continue is if they approve
The
the
nominees.
nominees.
Okay, so then you take that issue, that would be my nomination.
So there's a
My-
motion and
They're
there's a
back at us
second.
because we haven't developed criteria.
We can't.
We're gonna throw it right back at us. They'll say, okay, let me see your
Let's
criteria.
just vote right now. We just need, I guess.
Given the fact that you all have been doing this for 25 years like that without any written, you've had some criteria in the iCloud, but not written with a ranking form, I really think this is what needs to be explained to the council. It's not anything different. Starting next year, moving forward, we're gonna be in a better position.
That's why we
This is
should,
gonna
we're
be-
not ready. Janita, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's
But
okay.
we keep on going back and forth and we get it. We could agree and disagree, but the fact is that there's no criteria. We can't move forward. We don't, Council Member Alves discussed it in detail and he said, there's no criteria. We need to come, and we're not doing that, we're skipping that, I'm not done. You need to get together with some organizations. We recommended that you get together with organizations, and we haven't done that. What the motion is, from what I understand, is to proceed again and go to council member to put it for whatever you want to do to vote on it, to vote on having it. It's a mess.
So, okay, I have a call for the question.
Wait, allow me please to finish. So basically, we just need to vote yes or no. We're not ready, there's no, the criteria is not established.
So there's a motion
The
on the
recommendation
floor,
was-
and
He wanted to make a suggestion.
do you want to
No, but
discuss?
please,
Yes.
no, but please make a
Yes, if
suggestion.
you
I would
have
help
something before we vote, because we have to vote already.
Okay, may I suggest
Yes.
that you come up with a criteria, put it all nice in writing, then eventually take it to council and say, we've come up with a criteria, and we have some nominations, here they are, and see you later.
Right.
But then that would mean we wouldn't have the event this year because it was for
That's a possibility.
Pero June, who came up with the month of June? Did we vote on it? Lee?
Yes, we all did.
I don't remember
They
voting on
did
it.
at the council.
Cuando?
No, we voted on it here.
No, because the last meeting, we didn't have a quorum.
No, not the last meeting. The
No,
only
no,
one we
no.
voted for June.
We didn't have a quorum.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to bring it back to council, and it's been seconded.
Can you
So-
read the motion?
Can we take a
Yes.
vote?
The motion
Or she's gonna read the
is,
motion?
they're gonna read the motion. Go
Yes.
ahead.
She had made the motion that she wants to have 2 members from our committee at the minimum to go and speak to council and to see what's gonna happen with the Hall of Fame. Are we gonna be approved to have it? Are we gonna approve the nominees? Are we gonna approve the ceremony? Like, where do we stand? She just wants to know, like,
The status.
the status of it.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, all opposed? Okay, that's fine. So motion fails.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, can we move on now? We have to move on because it's already getting late. Please, we're gonna talk about the,
Is there a committee working on criteria?
Yes.
Well, there's a question, because the city said, and told us at council, that legal department was gonna come up with the criteria.
but we
So
also,
there is a committee that Diana is heading, and they have requested information from that committee, which she's already submitting to them, of what was discussed, because they did have a meeting that was
we're gonna
discussed.
get together with you.
I do wanna make a couple of comments.
When we had that special meeting?
Those 2 groups, the city council ordered us to talk to.
Which one?
I do
Yeah.
want to make a comment regarding some of the, especially since you're here, Mr. Martinez, council member. Some of the items that were brought up, the council said they wanted us to mirror what San Antonio does. I want to make this very clear. San Antonio has a women's commission. It's called the Status of Women. They do not have a Hall of Fame event. There is a separate nonprofit entity that has a Hall of Fame event. And it is an event to raise funds for scholarships. Diana and I conference called the president of that organization, and she went over the criteria of selection. So that's what she's also submitting to legal. But it is a separate nonprofit entity, has nothing to do with the city. The city does not dictate to them anything they do. They don't care who nominates on the application, whether it's family, employer, they don't care. So, this year they're honoring 14 people. They nominate several people on categories. They could be in the same category. They could all be on the same category if no one else got nominated on anything else. And they received 60 nominations this year.
So this
So,
is San Antonio.
San Antonio, the way they
So
work,
we don't even get funded.
the way they work is that those people that are selected for the Hall of Fame then become part of the organization. And they have to pay a monthly due. And that money is also put together for the scholarship. So they continue to grow every year. And they have, now she said they've started to do another event, which is also supporting of women. And that is, again, completely separate from the commission for the city.
I think we should.
To be clear, because I'm new in
Yes,
Los
ma'am.
Angeles. So all these nominations that we already have, those are gonna be on hold until the criteria is developed and maybe be honored till next year?
Perhaps.
Possibly.
I don't know if we'll open it for applications for next year because we have,
You
I
already
think
have
there
these.
were 11 that we were gonna
There were
honor.
13 and then.
And then some
Withdraw.
Okay. So the last item on the agenda was its discussion and possible action regarding the Laredo Commission for Women bylaws and possible ordinances and any matters.
I make a motion
Incident
that we
thereto.
table it because Roseanne
I second
came out
it.
second and she put it on the
Okay.
agenda.
I
So
second
it's
the
been moved
motion.
in second.
At the next meeting.
To put it to the next agenda.
Bring it back to the next meeting.
And if we can, does everybody have the bylaws, the new members?
Yes.
Okay, so please review it so we can discuss it.
Do you need the pens back, Selena?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we need to vote?
Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And now,
Adjourn.
is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, it's a motion, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:15. Thank you, ladies, I'm sorry we went over.